Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. As you can see, Winston is on the road today, and my name is Stan Kirkland. I've been with you before and retired from FWC, and we will be with you today. The weather today is brought to us by Haney Technical Center. The high today is going to be 82, low 73. Water temperature is around 81 degrees. Chance of rain today is pretty high. It's about 90%. So keep that in mind if you've got anything planned for outdoors. We do not have the river readings today. All the rivers are going up with this rain that we've had. Our tides brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemeteries. High tide today at 9:06 a.m. Low tide this evening at 7:44. If you're a inshore or nearshore fisherman, these tides are perfect. One glaring problem, though, obviously, is this weather. You don't want to risk life and limb to go out fishing, so watch this weather. Marine forecast is not good. Winds predicted to be up to 14 miles an hour today out of the south. Rain, possibly thunderstorms, so keep that in mind and stay close to port today. All right, we're going to take our first break and be back in just a moment. Well, welcome back. Glad you're with us today. I've got a good show lined up for you. On my right here is I still call him Captain Ken Paramore. Most of you know him. He's been on the show before, but Ken is retired after a long career with FWC as well.
Good morning. Glad to be here. As you can see, the Panhandle Outdoors Pro staff is back and alive and well.
Yeah.
So bear with us today because we got to fill in for Winston, and hope he enjoys his weekend off. And we're gonna start with some turkey talk.
Yeah. How did you do this season?
I worked really hard.
Okay.
I went every day of the turkey season.
Wow.
Except
6 days?
I missed 5 mornings.
Wow.
And the only reason I missed them, it was either raining or blowing a gale. But every morning that was huntable, I went at 4 a.m. every day but the bad weather days, and there was only 5 of them.
I bet your wife was glad when the season was over.
I was glad when it was over. I did manage to harvest 1 bird.
You killed 1 nice bird, yep.
Yep, nice bird, and I had a couple other really good opportunities that the bird was a little bit sharper than I was, so I wasn't able to get my my bag limit, but that's okay. It's all about the hunt. It's not so much about the kill. So.
I agree.
And I understand you had a pretty good season.
I you know, every season's different, and I do love turkey hunting. The first morning I went, called just a time or two, and I had a big bobcat came running out of the woods into the food plot, and I don't know who was more startled, me or the bobcat. Of course, you know, I just sat there and watched him. He turned around and ran off when he figured out that I wasn't a turkey. But I saw, in addition to that bobcat, the first week I saw 6 hens. I counted 21 deer and 2 fox squirrels, and I never saw a gobbler. I did not hunt the second week because I was involved in the Panama City Passion Play and was doing all that. And so I went the third week, and I went on a Tuesday, and I killed a 18.2 pound bird, and then I went back on a Thursday and killed a 20.1 pound bird. So I was done.
You were done.
In two trips. And I'm just thankful for the friends.
I could have done that. I could have got some better sleep.
Well, Dennis Palmer, Officer Palmer, told me he called it hunter's remorse. I wasn't remorseful about my season. It was just I would check in and find out what you guys were doing because mine was over with 2 bird bag. But Beyond that, you and I both pour our heart and soul into the working with the turkey program with the National Wild Turkey Federation. You're on the board, the national board. You have a very important job now, or with the state board. I'm sorry, state board.
Yeah, we just had a meeting last week.
And you went to that. But what is going on right now with them? And then we're going to talk a little bit about our banquet coming up.
Yeah, we do have a banquet coming up in August. Real quick, I want to touch on the national convention in Nashville. I attended that in February, and it was record attendance. It was over 50, I think over 52,000 people attended that convention in the 4 days.
Do you go as a representative of the board here, or do you go just as an interested turkey hunter who wants to learn more about what's going on and
both
fellowship?
Both.
Okay.
We don't do a whole lot there as far as the state board goes, but a lot of state board members do attend. I just enjoy going, walking the floor, and attending the seminars. It's just good to be around a lot of people that
and
have
you
the
see
same
a lot of the
things in
people
common.
that we see on the Outdoor Channel, on the Sportsman Channel. If you watch those programs, you see a lot of those people there.
Michael Waddell.
Yeah, he looks like a fun guy.
Yeah, he's fun to be around. Got my picture taken with him and all that.
That's cool.
State board stuff. Our chapter, Bay County Longbeards, we got in January we had our banquet. It was actually, they call it a volunteer appreciation banquet, and our chapter won 3 awards statewide and came in 3rd in the highest net income between attendees between 200 and 300. So,
and I'll tell you, that's remarkable for a chapter that was really defunct until just a few years ago. It was not operational.
No.
And we've got the public support. I think last year we had 235, 240 people roughly that attended our local banquet, and so the people are supporting putting money toward the National Wild Turkey program.
And a good thing about the net to gross ratio is if we manage our money well as a chapter, and you don't have a lot of overhead and expenses. I mean, everybody has overhead and expenses, but if you keep them low, you have more that goes to the cost.
Right.
And right now, the National Wild Turkey Federation puts about 89 to 90 cents of every dollar, what we call back in the ground.
Right.
And every year on the state board, I have a meeting in August, and we sit down with the monies.
I tell you what, hold that thought. We need to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk about where that money's going.
Okay.
Okay? Let's do that. We'll take our first break now. Well, welcome back. Ken, you were talking about, when we went to break, you were talking about the where this money goes here in the state. When we raise money as a chapter, what do we do with it?
It goes to what they call a super fund, and the majority of it is allowed to stay in the state that the chapter banquets are in. And then once a year, the state board meets in August, and we're going to meet this year on August 4th. And with the amount of monies that are available, we sit down, work really close with FWC, Roger Shields here.
Right.
And they provide us a list of needs for all these public lands throughout the state.
Do y'all rank them or prioritize them?
They rank them.
They rank them.
How they would like to see them funded, whether it be controlled burns, mowing, roller chopping, making wildlife openings. And it starts from the Panhandle and goes all the way to South Florida. And then we just debate and talk about what's the most important and try to make the money go the furthest, and then distribute the monies.
There you go.
Which is matched. And this year, 2017, 2018, we are going to put $1,900,000 back in the ground, what they call it. So.
And some people want this money to go toward private property, but the money goes toward public land. That is land that's available to the widest number of people. And when you think about it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's the philosophy is that
they do provide technical support to private land owners, whether it be for burn programs or
On-site visits.
yeah. But the funding does not go.
Right.
The funding stays in the public domain. So.
And you understand, because you could do all this work on public land, they could decide, hey, I don't want to have any more turkey on my property, and then, so that would be lost. So that's why it's done like that.
And the public's what comes to our banquets and spends their money. So.
All right. Ken, our banquet's coming up in August. Talk a little bit about our banquet, and you're our chapter president, have been. You may be till you pass away, but
till we find
or find another one. Hopefully that will. Okay, there we go.
August 10th, same location. This will be our 4th annual.
And the people at downtown at First United Methodist Church in downtown Panama City, they're very good to work with. From the pastor right on down, all the staff, they're great to work with. Open up, and we have great food. I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever been to a banquet where we have as good a food for.
Every year we have a few more people. Attendance has grown. Last year was around 230 people we had. We started out, our first one was like 170, 75. We've got a great banquet packet this year. I'm not going to go through all the items, but there's a lot of nice items in the banquet packets. We've got a bunch of guns that are going to be available for raffles and live auctions.
Last year, if you don't mind me interjecting this, last year, if I'm not mistaken, we had 20, I think it was 26 guns that either sponsors walked away with, or I say gave away, people buy tickets, and that's how this works, is it's a fundraiser. And some people don't understand that, but it is a fundraiser. It's allows us to put money into this, into the wild turkey programs. But I don't think there's a comparable banquet or package that's held around here where we have this many firearms that are available for hunters or for people that collect.
I'm looking at a list right now. I've got 17 that are due to be shipped, all different shapes, forms, and sizes and makes. So
and that doesn't include our sponsors.
That's no sponsor tables.
Right.
Our sponsor tables will have a choice of 4 guns this year that they can choose from.
Wow.
Or a Yeti cooler, if I remember correctly, or 3 guns and a Yeti cooler, a 65 Yeti. We got a handgun, and we'll be selling tickets here pretty soon. We've got tickets in. We'll be getting them to our committee members. So we're going to be going around and trying to sell some tickets.
Now we're doing something different this year with a high quality firearm that we're going to have a limited number of tickets, correct?
The gun of the year is what they call the gun of the year, or used to, it's a Winchester SX4 field model 12 gauge with engraving.
It's a beautiful gun.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And normally we would just auction it at the banquet with either high bidding and whatever. We're still going to do the same thing this year, but we're going to do some pre-sale. So when our committee members are selling tickets, we'll also have tickets for a chance at this gun.
But there's going to be a limited number of tickets, correct?
There's 100 tickets.
Total,
and they're going to be $20 a piece. And the good thing about it, you don't or won't have to be present to win. So whatever we don't sell before the banquet, we're going to put back in the pot. They're all numbered at the banquet, and we're going to sell those at the banquet until we get the 100 sold. Then we're going to have the drawing for that Winchester shotgun.
And that's a quality firearm, and it'll be available, part of the package. We've got everything in the world, from luggage to seats to, you name it, artwork that's typical that we have in our banquet package.
The auctions are really fun. I spoke with our auctioneer last night.
Oh, did you?
We've got him locked in. His name is Harley, and if you've been to our banquet before, he's
a hoot.
He's a hoot. So he confirmed with me last night, so he will be there, and it's a good night out.
And this is a great event too. This is August the 10th. I don't know if we've been talking about that yet, but it's August 10th, Friday night. It's just before the fall season, and people are beginning to wind down a little bit from saltwater fishing, and so a lot of interest with the banquet coming up. We have great. It's been great attendance, so put that on your calendar and think about that.
We'd love to have you to come.
And then we'll have tickets available. We'll be selling those tickets and really pushing those tickets in June, latter part of June into July,
Yep.
and contacting our sponsors. So, and anything else that we need to talk about there?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. Okay. All right. I tell you what. Let's go ahead and take this next break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit of saltwater fishing before we finish up. Okay. Well, welcome back. This is our final segment. Ken, the people are thinking about fishing right now. A lot of saltwater fishing. What's going on? You keep up with it. I know offshore more than I do.
Try to. It's
what's going on right now?
Seems to be hard now, but well, if you think back a year ago, we were fishing for snapper already.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because it opened the Friday before Memorial Weekend. So, and this year, most people were anticipating a June 1 opening for red snapper, but that didn't happen. So, but the good part about it, as far as I'm concerned, is but we had a short season last year.
Right.
You know, it was shorter. Well, this year they moved it to June 11, red snapper opening.
And it runs for what, 40?
It's about 40 days.
About 40 days,
plus
roughly.
days. It's going to be somewhere mid to late July when it closes. Don't remember the closing date, but there's plenty of days to fish. And what was always important to me was with those short seasons, if you had bad weather or had weather days and you couldn't go, well, the season ended regardless. Now you can kind of pick your days in that span and get in some good snapper fishing.
And looking at this weather we had over this past weekend with this storm system,
it would have been a disaster.
It would have been wasted for.
So it worked out.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad part about it on my end is some things close when snapper opens. You know, the grouper is going to open June 1, and it'll be open.
Right.
But the triggerfish and amberjack closed June 1.
My brother went out trigger fishing a couple of weeks ago off of Santa Rosa Beach out in the Gulf, and they were trying to catch triggers, but he sent me some photos of some of the biggest snapper that they were catching. Of course, these were all live released, but just big 15, 16, 17 pound fish that they were in, and of course they got out of there and went to another spot. But
the triggerfish bag limit is only one fish.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yep.
I guess the message here is to keep up with your rules and regulations, because they come and go, and know what you're looking for or can keep before you go, obviously. But the big thing is red snapper will be June 11th.
Okay. And and you mentioned again grouper will come in
June 1.
June 1, and then it runs through December.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So grouper will be along even after snapper closes. You can still go grouper fishing, and then all you'll catch will be a red snapper.
Right. Yeah.
It's always you catch what's not open when the time comes. Seems to me like, but looking forward to the summer. Summer's always fun. Hopefully the seas will be calm and we can get in some good fishing.
Yeah, dodge some of these storms. I know it's kind of been a down spring for spotted sea trout or speckled trout, as a lot of people call them. For whatever reason, haven't heard as many. I did hear of one enormous trout. I think Winston may have showed a photo that it was a 10-pound fish that was caught and released over in Phillips Inlet by a well-known local fisherman. Released this fish. It was caught, I believe it was caught on live bait, but that's not as much info on speckled trout during this spring. A lot of people catching redfish. I know I haven't caught as many redfish, but I was talking with Fred Myers the other day. I know Fred is a local pro. You know, he's with us at the banquet each year. Our turkey banquet, and Fred I know has been doing quite well So keep up with those rules. A lot of redfish in our waters.
Just don't forget about our bass fishing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's that time. I mean,
Yep.
the month of May usually is a real good bass fishing
Yeah,
month,
and
all the ponds got water in them now. So bass fishing should be good this summer too.
I went over to the Apalachicola River. I went with, took my life in my hands and went with Scott Lindsay last weekend over there. And we went in the
You
swamps
must have
over
really
there.
been needing a fishing partner.
Well, it was, a combination of things. But anyway, I didn't want to have to go hunt him later. But anyway, well, I'll tell you, the yellow flies, though, or deer flies are already out. And a word to the wise, if you go into the swamps now or into some of these places and on the Choctawhatchee River, any of the rivers around here, the creeks, and you want to keep these flies away and you want to use a thermocell, you need to keep your cricket cage. If you use live crickets, the thermocell will kill your crickets. So if you spend $3 or $4 on these expensive crickets, they need to be somewhere where the fumes from your thermocell don't poison them. So otherwise, you've got a lot of dead crickets, and they don't have a return policy at your bait and tackle stores.
I never used a thermocell for yellow flies. I didn't know they would repel them.
I think it was all in my head, but I was trying it anyway. I felt like I had burned my shirt.
They're so fluid. I don't know how.
I know, but anyway, but we had a good time. We caught plenty of fish, catching a lot of flyers. You know what a flyer is? Mm-hmm. Caught flyers and caught some stump knockers and that kind of thing. But the water was down in the swamps at the time, so it was.
Did you leave him in the swamp before you left?
No. We did actually. We were on a guy's property, and we had a lady came out and accosted us and told us we didn't have permission to be there. So that was pretty entertaining. Even though we had permission to be where we were, we never did convince this lady that we were there, and I said I wouldn't be there if I didn't have permission. Anyway, listen, folks, we're out of time. We thank you for joining us today, and Winston will be back tomorrow.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.